Hey everybody, Randy Kertz here for Bass Musician. So this month I'd like to talk about the concept of musician as athlete. I think there's cases to be made for a musician thinking like an athlete and training like an athlete up to a certain point. By that I mean that we are, like athletes as musicians, performing repetitive motions over and over and over again. This requires a certain set of skills, and it requires one to be in reasonable shape. So fitness is important. I recommend that everybody do some kind of exercise, even if it's just walking. Great exercise to get circulation going. I would recommend a higher level, some kind of exercise, some kind of working out. Not only does this keep muscles toned, especially as we get older, very important, but also hydrates joints, keeps the circulation going, and keeps us active and fit and sharp and alert mentally and physically. So very important. So as an athlete trains for their game, we also need to train for gigs and for the kinds of things we will be doing. That being said, many take that term or that idea or concept of musician as athlete a little further and want to get into things like strengthening. That gets a little tricky. Strengthening can be a very good thing, and it can be something that is very important. However, for musicians, one has to be careful not to overdo it. When you talk about performing these repetitive motions over long periods of time, what those will do will overload muscles many times and cause them to tighten up and cause us to have the usual list of problems. Wrist tightness or pain, back tightness or pain, shoulder, neck tightness and pain, etc., tendonitis, carpal tunnel type symptoms, etc. Okay? And by strengthening, many times we think that this will keep us from having those issues. And many times that's not the case at all and will contribute further to them. If one strengthens willy-nilly, meaning just squeezing these sort of exercise balls or doing these various exercise gizmos that are out there to try to strengthen without understanding what you're doing and just doing it as much as possible, you are running the risk of making your conditions either worse or compounding them or causing them because you're not quite sure of what you're doing and you're strengthening them without any kind of supervision or any kind of idea of what actually is being accomplished. Just to strengthen is not necessarily always a good thing. It's nobody's fault that you're doing that. It's simply there's really no instructions. It's just, yeah, squeeze this or do this or whatever it may be. Those have their place, but to do it without knowing why or just to do it because you think that will help to alleviate a condition, you need to understand a little more of what goes into it. One needs to understand what goes into it a little further. So please, before you do any kind of an exercise program, consult a professional, okay? That could be anybody from a therapist or a trainer or a doctor or anybody that you look to for your healthcare advice and needs. Because you don't want to overdo it. So some exercise and training, good. Too much, not so good. So that's where the idea of musician as athlete, there's a fine line between good and overdoing it a bit as far as I see it. Stretching is part of the same thing. There's stretching that is good for you. There's a lot of information out there that says that stretching is unnecessary and not good for you, which I personally don't happen to agree with. Nevertheless, you can find it easily enough by doing an internet search. And it's put out and written by people who sound like they have a very good reason for recommending that or knowing why they're saying it. So Different people respond to different things. One person's good workout isn't too much for another person, but please make sure that you're consulting somebody who is aware of what you do for a living and your limitations before you just start doing something. That's why I always say if one goes to the doctor, bring your instrument and show them what you do. If you're going there for a musculoskeletal problem, back pain, leg pain, neck pain, or wrist pain, and if they don't or won't take the time to watch you in your element, which is playing your instrument, you should find somebody who will allow you to do that, because they're going to give you the best advice. Even if they're not a musician, they will still be able to see mechanically what you're doing or not doing. So again, simply just don't overdo it and be careful. We're getting into colder weather now for a lot of us, and that's going to cause things to be a little tighter, and we need to watch a little more. So that's my wrap on the musician as athlete. Randy Kertz, always available, drkertz at drkertz.com, www.drkertz.com, my website where my book, The Basis Guide to Injury Management, Prevention, and Better Health, is available as a PDF ebook. That's it. See you next time. Thanks a lot. All the best. Bye-bye.